Good day everyone. So in this video we are going to derive the formula of the volume of the cone. So before that we are going to define what is the volume of the cone. The volume of the cone defines the space or the capacity of the cone. And a cone is a three-dimensional geometric shape having a circular base that tapers from a flat base to a point called apex and a vertex. As you can see, I provided also where apex or vertex located and also the base of the cone. So here are some of symbols that I used. So the first symbol is R. It is the base radius of the cone. And for the next symbol, letter H, it is the height of the cone. And for the third one, L, letter L, is the slant height of a cone. So the next one is the pi. It is the ratio circumference of any circle. And dy indicates that we are integrating the function with respect to the y variable. And for the last part, it is the symbol of the integral. So the question is, what processes or a way to prove or derive the formula of the volume of the cone? So, in order to prove or derive the formula of the volume of the cone, I used integral calculus. What is integration or the integral calculus, and what is the purpose why I use this kind of process? So, before we can proceed to our derivation, I'm going to give you a little bit definition about the integration and the purpose of integration. So, integration is a way of adding slices to find the whole. Integration can be used to find areas, volumes, central points, and many useful things. But it is the easiest to start with finding the area between a function and the x-axis. I'm going to show you a diagram of a cone, and we are going to illustrate what is on the cone. So as the diagram shows us, there is a yellow line which is the horizontal and a vertical line. So in a vertical line, that is called as the x-axis, and the horizontal line, that is a y-axis. And also there is a pink line, that is the radius of our cone, and the blue line, that is the height of our cone. And also you can see the red circle out there, that is called as the cross section. So what is cross section? Definitely. So a cross section is a view or a drawing that shows what the inside of something that looks like after a cut has been made across it. So as you can see, there is a red circle inside our cone that is called as the cross section. So within our cross section, the x there is called as the radius of our cross section, and the y out there is called as the height of our cross section. Now we are done to introduce the diagram of our cone. Now we're going to prove the formula of the volume of the cone, which is the 1/3 pi r squared times height. So by using the integral calculus, we can prove the formula of the volume of a cone, which is the 1/3 pi r squared times height. So in order to find the volume of any shape, we need to know this formula. And the formula is the integral of a from b, a of y, dy. So a of y is the area of our cross section of the cone, which located at the middle of our cone. So you might be wondering why we integrate respect of the y-axis instead of x. It's because our cross-section is on the y-axis, so it is more easier to integrate respect with the y-axis. So the first thing we're gonna do is to find the area of that cross-section, which is the a of y, and the formula of the circle, which is the pi times the radius squared. So nganong nagamit man ta og formula sa circle? It is because our cross-section is a circle form. We are done integrating the respect of y. So, ang sunod natong buhaton is we should rewrite the x. So in order to rewrite the x, we are going to use the proportional ratio. So y is the height of our cross-section over the height of the cone is the total of the radius x over the radius of the cone. So sunod na itong buhaton is simplify the x. So in order to simplify the x, so ato ibalhin ang x sa pika side, then i-times na to ang ry o i-copy na to ang denominator which is ang h. So ang result is x is equals to ry over h. Now we are done simplifying the value of x, which is x is equals to ry over h. So instead of pi times x squared is mahimo na siyang pi times ry over h squared. So as you can see, na-apply na ang value sa x. So, ang sunod na itong buhaton is i-simplify na to ang ry over h squared. So, as the result, may mo na siyang pi times r squared over h squared y squared. And then, ito na po silang i-multiply. And then, the result is pi r squared over h squared y squared. So, muna na siya atong area of the cross-section of our cone. And now we successfully found the area of our cross sections, and now we are going to replace it. Instead of ay, we change it into the pi r squared over h squared y squared. And the volume of our integral is 0 to h. So makita na dira sa diagram na duha ka dot. Ang nasa ubos mo na ang 0, nagikan ang koan, then ang usa ka dot nasa imabaw tungod sa h mo na siyang the integral of 0 to h. Since pi r squared over h squared is constant, we are going to move out into the integral. So as the result, it will become as the pi r squared over h squared times the integral from 0 to h y squared dy. From pi r squared over h squared times the integral from 0 to h y squared, it will become pi r squared over h squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 times y raised to the power of t. And you might be wondering why the integral changed into antiderivative. It is because the integral and antiderivative is related to each other, and the rules of the antiderivative is you are going to take the 2 and you're going to plus or add 1, and you got the y raised to the power of 3. And also the 3 exponent out there is you're going to divide it by 1, and you got the 1/3. And don't forget the upper bound of h and 0. So you got the pi r squared over h squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 y out times y raised to the power of 3 times the upper bound of h and 0. We are going to follow this formula, the 1/3 times y raised to the power of 3. Or, on the other hand, we're going to change y into h and 0. So, as what I've said earlier, that we are going to change y into h and 0. So, it will become pi r squared over h squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 times h raised to the power of 3. And minus 1/3 of times 0 raised to the power of 3. So as you can see, 1/3 times 0 raised to the power of 3 is equals to 0. So we are automatically cancel it. So ang nahibili na lang is pi r squared over h squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 times h raised to the power of 3. So, from pi r squared over h squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 times h raised to the power of 3, mahimo na lang siyang pi r squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 times h na lang ang nahibilin. Nganong h na lang ang nahibilin. It is because we subtracted the h raised to the power of 3 from h squared. So, mong usa na lang ka h ang naibilin. So, now we are going to formalize this pi r squared times the antiderivative of 1/3 times h. And now we got our final answer, 1/3 pi r squared times h. And we successfully proved the formula of the volume of the cone.